Hello, everyone. Welcome to Devtoberfest 2024 Week 3. My name is Ajay Soreng, and I'm your host for this session. This session is How to Build CAP Plugin with Node.js. We have our speakers Daniel and Ram with us today for this session. We encourage you to ask questions in the chat, which will be answered by the experts on this topic. And without further ado, I would like to invite Ram to introduce himself. Over to you, Ram.
Thank you, Ajay. Thanks for hosting us, and welcome all of you for Devtoberfest session on how to build a CAP plugin with Node.js. My name is Ram, and I'm working as a product owner in cloud application programming topic. I've joined here today with Daniel Slaughter, and um, we in this session we just wanted to take you through why do you need to build the plugin, and also what are the different patterns of building this particular plugin, along with the detailed instructions or demo on how to build the plugin itself. So whenever you are starting with the cloud application programming, it's always like you focus mainly on the domain of the problem, uh, and then you basically build the uh, build the model of this particular domain with core data services, instead of worrying about what technology that you have to build on and what database that you have to consider. Basically, so if I'm seeing here, uh, I have a sample bookshop application where the entire domain of the application is written with cap CDS, and automatically all the CRUD operations are exposed or created for you. And in case at times, if you want to have a custom logic built on top of these services, you can always build it in service files. But sometimes these custom logics that you're adding to your CAP application can be reused as well. So the other projects can already can make use of this custom code that you have written. Um, and whenever you are exposing this particular reuse modules, the other applications, they can just plug and play whenever these reuse modules are required. And we already had one such initiative in ACP, basically to build all the integrations with business technology platform services, and that's Khaleesi, where we focus mainly on shrinking the CAP core with the main functionalities that are required, and then build the plugins around it. And there are different patterns that we observed while building this particular plugins, array of plugins. How do you basically start is that once maybe you can have annotations in the domain model that you have seen in, and then basically you can create a UI extensions observing whenever you're encountering these particular annotations. One such example of a plugin that we have is for you to track the changes that you do to your data records. Um, and what we are doing, again, if you just look at this particular code here, we are using incident service, and for this incident service, we are adding annotation called as change log, and then we are including what are the fields that we are interested to basically change track, right? Title, urgency, status, conversation message, and repair status, and stuff like that. And whenever the plugin is added to the CAP application, it just sees all these fields and then it change tracks the data changes. One more example or use case is that you have an annotation in the domain model, and then you can connect to the services of PTP. One example is audit logging for personal data. The domain model can again be annotated with personal data annotations, identifying the data subject and also data subject ID, whether certain fields are sensitive or certain fields are having or providing a personal data. Based on seeing these particular annotations, a plugin can do the audit logging whenever these data fields are changed. One more example or use case is that you can already have a function export for operations to change the control flow of the application. We do have notification plugin, and the notification plugin already provides you certain APIs for you to integrate your CAP application with alert notification service, so that you can send Fury notifications and stuff like that. In order for you to do that, you have to create different notification types and have to write a lot of logic around it. But all those things are abstracted by the plugin. all you have to do is just to alert.notify with recipients, priority, title, and descriptions and things like that. You can also extend your application endpoints with CDS hooks, right? So we have one such plugin coming up called as Open Resource Discovery, where the metadata about your application, what it is exposing in terms of services and events, all these things can be provided by all CAP application, but not to write their own custom logic, but to utilize certain plugin that is provided or written called as ORD. So these are all different patterns that we see, and how it's working is in the plugin, basically you have CDS plugin.js, and then you write all the reusable logic in that particular plugin.js file. And then this is nothing but an npm project, so you can publish this plugin in the as npm package. And whenever you are using CAP application, you can just add this particular package with npm add package name. And whenever you're starting your CAP application, it kind of like observes there is cds.plugin.js, and then it can take the reusable code and make it available for your application. With that, we'll just see how do we develop a sample plugin, and then how can you basically use it with Node.js. Handing over to Daniel Schlachter.
Hello and good morning from my side as well. So I'm Daniel Schlachter. I'm leading the CAP enablement team. For me, it is Monday morning. So let's wish me good luck in doing some live coding. This is my cup with some coffee. And if you have your coffee ready, let's go. So basically, what I'm showing you here, you can follow this if you want to. From any development environment, as long as you have the CDS DK, and I'm using the Business Application Studio, and we're starting here really from an empty project now. So what I will do is I will just initialize a project. Let's call it Devtoberfest because we're at Devtoberfest. And what this does, it is generates an empty project for us. So we basically have the structure of a CAP project, but there is not really any content in here yet. And to speed this up a little bit, to develop our application, we will just say CDS add sample, which adds a little, oh, I have to first go into the folder and try that again. It is Monday morning. So now we have like our project here, and you see it's already filled with a couple of service files, a database schema, and so on. Let's quickly have a look at that application.
Daniel, are you sharing your screen? Can you please check
Oh,
that?
I'm not sharing my screen. Well, that's a shame. Yeah, that's important. All right. You didn't see anything of the things I just did. So what I did is, all right, we did CDS init Devtoberfest, which added the empty project. And then we did the CDS add sample, which basically added those files. And then let me do that again. I did a CDS watch to start that project. And what we get here is the typical bookshop application. You see we have here books, they have a title, they are written by an author, they are assigned to a genre, and we have a stock, how many books are available. And then when we go in here, you can see even some more details, the price of the book, for example, and so on. All right, so this is our starting point. So the fact that I wasn't sharing, we didn't miss too much here. And what you can see here is that in our admin service, so basically our admins use this, right? We already have one custom handler that basically what it does here is before we add a new book, right? It assigns an ID to the book. So this is just an example of a custom handler. And what I want to do now is I want to just add one more custom handler to my application, which is this dot after. So after I'm reading a book, and I'm going to show you an interesting syntax here, because after we read a book, we want to do this after each book. After each book. And what do we want to do with the book? Let's see. We want to just add something to the book title. So title is a field of the book, and we add something to that title. And what do we add here? A cool Devtoberfest text, right? Something like this. All right, let's see how that looks like. And you can see here that the book title is now appended with this Devtoberfest text. Oh, shouldn't click here, should click here. Okay. So we have a little piece of functionality that we have added to our base application. And, you know, this functionality that we have developed here, it became so popular that now we want to use this in every single CAP application that we are having, right? So what we need to do is we need to make this little piece of code reusable. And how do we make it reusable? So if you listened to Ram before, you saw that, you know, we can basically create a CDS plugin and then use that CDS plugin to basically have this little piece of functionality served to us by a plugin. All right, so let me do that. So what we will do is we will use the NPM functionality to basically create a new project. So we say npm init, and we init the Devtoberfest plugin. And I will add two more parameters here. The first one is -y, which will basically just answer all the questions during the initialization of this project with yes. And the other one is -w, which will add this project, this Devtoberfest plugin, as a workspace to our existing project. And I will show you that in a second. What you see is a new folder is created here, Devtoberfest plugin. npm install is happening. And in our package.json of the plugin itself, you see that we have a new, the name of this is Devtoberfest plugin. So this is how basically npm finds packages, right? So we have that here. And in the package.json of our main project, what you can see is there's a workspaces Devtoberfest plugin, which basically just means that, you know, when we are searching for npm packages, that it will also look into this Devtoberfest plugin folder. For example, now when I'm adding this plugin, let me do that to our main project. So let's do an npm add Devtoberfest plugin. You see it's able to resolve this, even though this is not hosted obviously on npm.js, but it's hosted in the folder right here, right? So now we have added a dependency, Devtoberfest plugin, to our application. I will start the application again, but this time a little bit different. I will say debug equals plugins, which will give us all the plugin output in the logs, and do a CDS watch like this. And what we can see now is that two plugins were loaded, and those are just kind of standard plugins that are being used, SQLite for serving you in-memory database, and the Fiori plugin, right? But our Devtoberfest plugin is not showing up yet. And why is that? So the reason is that you can see the implementation for those plugins is loaded from the CDS plugin.js file. Ram also mentioned this already. So this is exactly what we're missing here. Is a new file that is called cds-plugin.js. Yeah. And if I scroll down in my log output now, you can see the next time the application started, because the autosave is on in this editor, we have now also loaded the Devtoberfest plugin. All right, so our plugin is being loaded, but it's not doing anything yet. Let's change that. And what we need first is we need to get our CDS, require our CDS package. So let's do that. And what we want to do next is we want to say CDS once it is basically served. And I will explain this to you in a second. Let me just type it first. Okay, served. And once it is served, we want to basically execute a piece of code, right? All right. And to show you why we want to do this here and not somewhere else, let me quickly just add two console statements, because I think they will show this very nicely first. And we will do a console log. Second here. Because this is a very important concept to understand, I believe. What happens here is you can see our plugin is being loaded, the Devtoberfest plugin, and then first this console output comes straight away, right? The problem here is that what you see in the logs afterwards is that our CDS model hasn't even been loaded yet, right? And our CAP services, our admin and catalog service, they're not being served yet. So if we want to do something in our plugin that kind of affects the behavior of those, we cannot do it here in first, but we have to do it here in second, basically, because otherwise it's too early and we cannot find our services and entities and so on yet. All right, but what do we want to do in this plugin? And for this, it's really important to understand, let's say, our CDS structure a little bit better. And I will try to show this to you. So what you see here in our CDS file, right? We have a service, admin service. So it's our service. In the service, we have entities. And in entities, if we jump into here, we have elements. And then those elements, they actually have certain annotations. So there's the structure, services, entities, elements, and then the annotations on them. So what we want to do here is we want to our title, let's just do this here, add the Devtoberfest annotation. And with this annotation now, the plugin should be able to find this Devtoberfest annotation and basically add the little piece of code that we wrote in our custom handler to whatever field has this Devtoberfest annotation instead of just like kind of coding it statically as it is at the moment. And okay, why did I explain this to you with the structure here, right? So what we have to do is we have to kind of go into our model and we have to say, we want to go through the services. Oh, no, not that. Okay. No, that. Service of CDS.entities. Sorry, no, I'm already one level too deep of CDS services. So first we loop through all of our services. Then in our services, what we do is we look for the entities of those services. And then once we are in the entities, now we want to look actually at the fields, right? So to actually find the fields that have this Devtoberfest annotation. This one is a bit different because it's a for in loop, just for the structure that the things have. The key is fine, I guess. And we call this for the key in entities.elements. And then, yeah, this already fits. So basically now we can find all the keys in our elements, and then we assign it to an element. And what we can do now is basically just have a look if the element has a property, right, that is called @Devtoberfest. We want to basically, let's again just do a console log statement first, where we just say where we log the element dot name. Okay, I have done something wrong, it seems. Element is not a function. Who can spot what I did wrong here? 11. If, oh, yeah, okay. This is not a function because I was looking for property, right? I used the wrong type of bracket here. We want to look for property. All right. And now you can see that I have something here in my output, and we have the name of our field, which is title. Interesting. So maybe to show you that it's actually finding that, if I now take my Devtoberfest annotation and move it also to description, you see it also finds those fields. And right now it finds it multiple times because I've done this directly on my database schema. So when this is served to the admin service and the catalog service, it is basically found multiple times, right? All right, so now all that we need to do basically is we have to take our little custom handler that we wrote in our admin service, and let's just do a Control X and paste it in here. And then we just have to make a couple of small adjustments. So instead of saying this.after, because here we don't have this context, it's our service. So the service we're currently looping through and looking at, right? So service after still works each, and now it's not a books, but it is whatever the entity is that we're currently looking at, right? And here, let's also make this a bit more generic because it's not necessarily a book that we want to append the text to, but it could be any kind of item, right? And then let's say item dot, and it's also not a title because again, we want to make this a little bit more generic. So we say item, and let's find the property element dot name, the same as we were already showing in the console log statement. And now we want to basically add this text here, right? Okay, so let's see if this worked. Again, we open our application. And we can see that now this functionality is here, but as you saw, it's now coming from a plugin, right? So it's not coming anymore from the custom handler that we had before, but now it's really coming from the plugin, and you can see it's now in the title up here, and it's also in the description there, right? So it's really loaded from our plugin now, and we basically have implemented a nice little plugin here. And this is basically already it. So that's how you would develop a plugin. I will show you two more things here because I think they're really, really cool. But for this, I will not type the code manually. I will just kind of paste it in. I think you've seen enough live coding for Monday morning. So one of them is this one, CDS add. And we've already used CDS add. To be fair, I wasn't sharing my screen at when we did the CDS add sample, right? And what I did is it copied in a couple of files into our project. And what we can do with this command here is we can basically define our own CDS add command, right? So what I can do here is I can now say CDS add Devtoberfest. And you see it has added this more stuff, or basically printed out my console log statement. So it was basically running this async run function here and did things with our project. So if you have a plugin functionality that needs to do something that is not kind of a runtime functionality and more of a design time functionality, I think I saw DJ Adams in the chat, and they did a really nice TechEd session about this as well. I think 100B, right, DJ? Where they also showed a little bit this distinction between kind of runtime and design time, which is of course nice to see. And one more piece of code that I will copy in and show you to make this complete is, before I actually copy it in, let me do something. I will do a CDS build, which will build our project, right? And what you can see here is now it has basically, there's a gen folder, and it has, taken our code and build it. And what we can see here, there's one build task and it says for Node.js. So we're currently building for Node.js. We're not building in production, right? So we don't have, for example, a HANA build task. And it basically takes the model from those folders here and runs a CDS build. You know? And what I can do now, let me now paste in this piece of code, because we can also influence this build behavior. So there's CDS build.register, and we register a build task called Devtoberfest. And we basically just have to tell it when this should be run. So I just set this one to true. So normally you would say, okay, under this condition, when my plugin is loaded and so on, then maybe it should be run or should not be run. And then there's some functionality to init and what should happen during the build, right? And if I now run this CDS build again, what you will see is we have now this additional build task, the Devtoberfest build task that's being run as well. And yeah, this just runs on top and you can see our init and build is being executed here. And I think with, you know, those functionalities, they really offer you a really nice tool set where your plugins can really work on the different components, add things to the runtime, add things during design time, do additional setups and things like that. So it's really quite a powerful concept. And yeah, I think with this, I can already kind of just, you know, link you to our documentation page, the Capire or Capire. And again, you see a list of available plugins. There's also pages that show this CDS add and CDS build functionality, how to register that and extend that. So a lot of content out there. And yeah, I think with that, we can basically open up for questions. Or are there any questions in the chat?
So there are a couple of questions actually which are there in the chat, so which have been answered by other colleagues.
All right. I mean, if they are all answered, then I think we can already, yeah, say thank you to everybody. And I hope you enjoyed this. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks Daniel and thanks Ram for this great session where you took us through how to build the plugin with Node.js in CAP. And I thank all the viewers from around the world who are watching us and who will also be watching the replays later. Thank you for joining us. And then I have put a link in the chat where you can go and attend the validation tutorial. The questions for that will be uploaded at the end of the day. It will give you additional points towards the Devtoberfest contest that is ongoing actually, and you can participate in that. So with that,
And one more addition, we
please.
will also have a session on the Java side, right? On building a plugin on Java.
Yeah, so there will be another session on building CAP plugin on Java, and that will be in the coming week. So that is in the last week. That is the 4th week of Devtoberfest. So thank you all for joining. With that, I would like to say bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.